it did. You gotta look at.
Oh, I had to click.
Oh,
All right, thank you so much. This is another great episode. Wait, we got to start that over.
cause I was in. I thought you was
No,
just.
whoa. You
All
ready?
right. Yeah, I'm ready.
On today's episode of the Slide Experience, I have someone that is amazing, and she is all about wellness and health and internally making sure that women do the right thing from inside out. And so, my first guest, Queen J, is here on the show today on the episode of the Slide Experience. So, Queen J, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this episode. So a little bit about me. I am a poet, a podcaster, a lover of wellness. Just honestly, I'm a healer. And I have a podcast called Let's Get Uncomfortable. And in that, all we do is get uncomfortable so that you can grow, right? You can't grow from a place of being complacent, from a place of being stagnant. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable with yourself, get to the root of your issues so that you can elevate, right?
You heard what she said, elevate. So, again, thank you and welcome to the show. And so, let's get uncomfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit more. So when you have your podcast, and so what exactly are the conversations you're having on Let's Get Uncomfortable?
It's kind of self-explanatory in the title, but it actually is a little bit deeper than that. So I
Okay.
invite people to come onto my show and share their healing journey wherever they are in their healing journey. They could be at the root bottom, not knowing what to do. And on that show, I help you discover the tools so that you can get past the hurdles that you're going through, whatever it is. Like for me personally, I have anxiety. I am moving past PTSD from a rough childhood, things like that of that nature. So what happened for me was like, okay, I don't have a voice. Where's my voice at, right? I can't find my voice. And all of a sudden I went through a traumatic event in 2018. I was sexually assaulted. After that, I really didn't have a voice and I didn't have a mind either. I was able to find my voice through the art of words and through the art of storytelling. So, talking about the experiences that I was experiencing, it was like, oh my God, this is cathartic. I don't know why, but it was.
Mhm.
And then that led to me being more poetic, writing about the things that I was going through. And so, the conversations that I have with my guests are ultimately about how we can overcome the darkness and use the strength of our vulnerability and the power of connectivity to heal and move past it. It's not about ignoring what you've been through because if I did that, whew, baby, that stuff keep coming up. You ever try to suppress something and it just keep coming up? It keep like, oh my God, I'm sick to my stomach. I don't know what's wrong. That
Yeah.
is your issues, your root issues, your things that you need to work on. Keep resurfacing because you ain't worked on them. You can't just ignore that
Yeah.
because it's gonna keep coming up. So if you do the work and you really dig deep and get uncomfortable with yourself, I'm talking sit in the mirror and be like, all right, what is wrong? Where's this anxiety stemming from? What's my chakras telling me, right? If you do that work, you'll be so much better for yourself afterward.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
And the fact of, going through what you went through at 18, we
Mm-hmm.
hear a lot of people going through their own struggles and traumas and assaults and things like that.
Yeah.
Me, myself, my audience know that I lost my mother when I was 12. She was only 29 to breast cancer. And so I utilized that to fuel my fire, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that I had to go through some things
Mm-hmm.
and allow me to know that I am a worthy and I am enough to do what I'm doing. And hear you say overcoming and healing, that's important, especially as a woman, right? Because we go through
Yes.
so many things, we wear so many hats, and having someone to talk to and that understands exactly what you said. We have to heal and we have to overcome. So let's back
Yes.
up a little bit. Why
Yeah.
podcasting? Why that particular subject for you?
Honestly,
Like,
I that's hilarious. I just thought about something in real time. So when I was a kid, I have a family friend that nicknamed me Talking Tina.
ah,
I'm not joking. That is what she
you said
calls me.
talking Tina.
Talking Tina.
Ah,
What up, Talking Tina? That's what she called me every time. I'm like, I talk that much, but it is a superpower. It has always been my superpower. I kind of kind of fell into podcasting, to be completely honest. I was always the therapist friend. I was always the friend that was checking on everybody else, making sure that they were fine. Meanwhile, I had my own stuff that I was not dealing with. And I'm talking from experience because in middle school, I was the friend that had all the friends coming to them and being like, "Well, this is what's happening in my relationship," and I'd be like, "Oh, so he doing this? Oh, so she doing it?" Like I would just know, and they'd be like, "You're so good. You're so good." Yeah, I'm going through my own personal struggles at that time, but helping others allowed me to put myself on the back burner, which was not good. I became a people pleaser, and podcasting allowed me to really be like, "Nah, I ain't a people pleaser no more."
Yeah.
I cannot continue to put myself on the back burner for somebody else. And the biggest thing that I learned when I first started podcasting was that, well, two things. One, there's power in your voice, right? I went from feeling voiceless to knowing my worth when I use my voice, to understanding my value when I use my voice, to also understanding why I use my voice. For the longest time I was like, I hate the sound of my voice. I can't stand it. I'm never gonna, like, I would get so, it would be like nails on a chalkboard. I would be like, I would be on the phone with my friends and I'd be like, take me off speakerphone now. I'm not playing. I don't want to hear that. And they'd be like, today you sound so, nope, I don't care. Take me off. But now I've gotten to a point where I've just been able to honestly step in my power of my voice. What anyone I want to take away from this is understanding that there's power in your voice. There's power in the words that you say. So me constantly saying that I didn't like my voice, me constantly ridiculing myself from the space of somebody else's mindset, we'll get into that. I constantly was invalidating myself. And then when I finally started saying I am worth it, that was it. Podcasting was my thing. That was it.
Podcasting was talking Tina's thing.
Yes.
So you already talked a lot, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I say a lot. God gives us the gift. It's us.
Mhm.
It's up to us to find it. It's up to us to unveil the gift,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And when we don't do something with it, what they say in Matthew 24, you lose it, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that we are tapped into our purpose. And another thing that she said,
Mhm.
power in your voice and finding your value. And in this podcast space, we tend to get to know our guests and we get to have those intimate moments. And you guys are sharing so much with the host. And that's why I like doing what I'm doing, because it allows me to not only, you know, connect, but I learned so much, right? So knowing that someone has so much passion about
Yeah.
healing and going through something, but having the power in your voice, even though you didn't like the sound of your own voice. Somebody
Yeah.
does.
Somebody did. Somebody liked it
Somebody
enough.
will, right?
Okay.
Right. So you spoke on mindset. So let's talk about that, because in the
Yeah.
space of coaching and consulting, we talk about mindset and making sure that we're in the right mindset
Mhm.
when we start something new. We're starting a podcast, we're starting a new business. Why do you feel like, having that right mindset is important when you even starting something like a podcast?
That's a very good question. I can say this. I now know that if I had started my podcast from the depths of that pain, maybe I would have gotten a lot of reach for the people that were actually going through that pain, in the same time. But I wasn't called for that just yet because my mindset wasn't where it is today. I was not in that space where I was like, oh, yeah, I can have a podcast, I can help these people. I constantly knew that that's what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know how. And I kept seeing my not liking my voice as the crutch that it was. I leaned on the insecurities that I had built up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And now I'm at a place in my life where I don't lean on those. I lean on the confidence. I lean on the strength of my vulnerability. Not, oh my God, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? No, no. And I have gone through the trials and the tribulations to be able to sit here and say, your mindset matters because it shifts your entire reality. It shifts your entire universe. If I constantly sit in bed and I say I'm depressed, guess what I'm going to be? Depressed. If I constantly sit in these pockets of depression, these pockets of PTSD, and I don't try to fight back, I'm going to stay rooted in that. If I constantly tell myself, I love you, I'm proud of you, you are doing amazing work, it may not happen just yet, but it's going to happen, I'm going to keep actively going after that, right? It's all about the things that you say to shift your mindset. So, to answer your question, if I had have said it from, if I had have started my podcast from those broken times, actually, as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of did.
You did.
I kind of did
You did.
because when I was in high school, I was constantly on Snapchat, right?
Mm.
That became my virtual diary. I was just, but that was reckless me,
Okay.
okay? I wasn't filtered. I wasn't thinking about how it affected anybody. I was really upset, so I wanted everybody to feel my pain, right? But I'm learning now, everybody don't have to feel your pain to know that you've been through something.
Right.
The ways in which you express something does not have to be harmful to someone else. And I can say that back then, that's what I was. Extremely harmful because I was like, no, I'm justified in my feelings. And that does not impact people the way that you want to impact people. If I'm talking about healing, how I don't care about your feelings and I'm over here just spitting the truth.
Right.
That don't make sense.
Right.
I got to be a little bit careful in the way that I package it. It's still the truth and it's still my truth, right?
Right.
But if I'm allowing you to be vulnerable, I also got to get out of that mindset of, oh, I'm judging every single thing that I do.
Yeah.
I got a tattoo on my forearm that says no judgment, only awareness. You want to know why I got that? Because every single day of my life, I judged myself for the actions that I did not, either the ones that I did do or the things that I did not get to execute. And that judgment is what kept me rooted in those terrible, toxic mentalities, those toxic mindsets. And when I got this tattoo, I was like, it's a reminder that it's okay for you to be aware of the things that you've done. It's okay for you to be aware of, like, oh, I'm awkward in this situation. That's cool. But don't judge yourself for it. Don't condemn yourself for it, because that turns into a cycle that it's hard to break out of. Did I answer your
Yeah,
question?
you did, and some, right? So the mindset is important because we need to make sure that we're in the right space when we're going
Mhm.
into something. So if you, again, it goes back to the whole belief thing.
Yeah.
If you believe, or you believe, or not believe, you are true. It's true. So you have to position yourself in a way to where you feel like their failure isn't an option. You're going to do the thing because what you
Exactly.
believe is to be true. If you feel
Exactly.
like you're going to be successful, if you feel like you're going to make a million, if you feel like you're going to start your business, your podcast, you can do it and you will make it happen.
Mhm.
The thing that you said, I took a note about,
Mhm.
was lean on the confidence. I was like, that's a t-shirt right there. Lean on the confidence. I love that because you're so true, because sometimes we're not confident in it.
Mhm.
And so we shy away from the thing, right?
Oh my gosh, I do
Right?
that every day.
Yeah.
I was just doing that full transparency moment, like completely. Let's get uncomfortable, y'all. Just earlier today,
Mm-hmm.
I watched someone that I've looked up to and have taken like I want to say that I've just looked up to, because I felt like we could relate on so many different things as far as childhood upbringing. And I watched her be interviewed, and as she was interviewed, I was like, oh yes, I know exactly what questions I want to ask her, because that was, I just thought about it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to introduce myself and we're going to make this happen. As soon as I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to do, I did it in the mirror. I said, this is what I'm going to do. As I was watching her get interviewed by someone else, they started asking all the questions that I was going to ask. And I was like, well, what do I have to offer now? Yeah, I know. That's not a good, and I'm being honest.
You are being honest.
I'm being 100% honest.
But
That question came up, right?
mm-hmm.
After that question came up, it was like a storm of doubt. I had to take a second, step away from everybody else. And I was like, focus on God. Like, I closed my eyes. I was like, you know what? I'm not panicking. I just don't know where this came from. And I wrote it down. I said, it made me think of, what more do I have to offer if somebody already asked the questions that I asked? And then I closed my eyes and I had a moment with God. And God literally told me, he said, focus on me and I'll reveal it all for you. Don't focus on that. Go ahead.
uh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just, when you said I
Yeah,
got it
yeah.
from God,
Mhm.
right? my whole thing was she's not you.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
person that is interviewing her, the person is not you.
I,
So you're going to bring you to the table.
yeah.
The guest is saying you yes to Miss Queen J, right?
Mhm.
So all of that shouldn't even
Been a factor.
surface. It shouldn't have been a
It shouldn't have been
factor.
a factor, but because the enemy saw that and he
Mhm.
knew how badly I was like, "Oh, y'all are in alignment. I'm gonna try to
Mm.
divide that." And I did. I was like, "Well, if this is what happened, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not supposed to be in this space." And it started happening, but as soon as I took that breath and I was like, "You know what? I may be missing out on some stuff right now. Maybe I'm not. Maybe there's something in here that I need to learn right now in this moment." And what that moment was, focus on me. Your focus ain't, nah, I don't want you listening to that. Why you listening to that?
Right.
What value is that bringing you in this moment? It's
Right.
not.
Right.
Because you know what could have happened had I allowed it? Had I not honored that feeling, right? Had I not honored that space, I probably would have walked in here and not done this. I probably would have gone through the rest of my day and been like, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I didn't even take the
Try
opportunity, right?
and try. So
And
you did try, right?
I haven't tried yet, but I will. I will. But
Okay.
I did get the other person that was able to interview that guest or able to speak with and connect with. She told me, you
Mhm.
do have a common interest with her. You are in alignment
Mhm.
with her. And these are the questions that you can ask her. There are tons of questions she didn't answer, but you focus on the ones that she did.
Right.
And that I wouldn't have seen that perspective.
But let's take it a little bit deeper,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you have to still ask the questions that you want to know.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah.
Because it's on your platform.
It
The
is.
people that's on the other host platform are not your guests
That is true.
and not your listeners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, it's something that you want to know. You just listened
Exactly.
in, so now you can still hone in and still ask the same questions, but it's how you ask the question. It's how much you're going to elaborate in the
Ooh.
question, how much you
Okay.
allow them to dig deep in the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, do not allow the enemy to come in and steal, kill, and destroy the fact that you are exactly where you want to be, and the fact that that person is here with you in this moment means you are supposed to interview that person. So
Exactly.
don't allow that to even creep in. So the confidence needs to show up,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because the enemy is a liar.
You right.
And I know that in the minutes that in the day that I have met you, I know that you are well and capable of doing this interview, right?
Yes, I am. And the devil know it, but look, the enemy know it
Yes.
too. He
Yes.
knows I'm capable. That's why he like,
Yeah. No. So we're
nah,
gonna do that
I don't
interview.
want her to do it. But we gonna try. That's what I'm saying. Those moments that what we just did just then is exactly what I do in Let's Get Uncomfortable.
Right.
That's exactly what we do.
So, considering that you are in podcasting, Let's Get Uncomfortable is your show
Mm-hmm.
name.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell the listeners, number one, why, if they're interested in podcasting, why
Mm-hmm.
should they get into podcasting? I think I asked you that question,
Yeah, yeah.
but most importantly, give a tip or two
Mm-hmm.
on why someone should actually do this type of business.
If you have a story, we all have a story.
Mhm.
Let me back up. Hold on, it's coming to me now. We all have a story, right? Your story is no less important than somebody else's. And I learned the other day, literally on day one, I learned that there's a you-sized hole in someone else's life. And my entire podcast came from the darkness of not wanting to be on this earth anymore. After going through so much darkness, so much pain that I didn't even want to speak about. I don't imagine, I can't, it makes me like, I can't even talk about it because it makes me that sick to my stomach. Like to think, wow, there was a time in which I did not love myself, I didn't value myself, right? And for anybody that feels that way, podcasting can literally save your life because you're inspiring the next person. You're preventing the next person from making a drastically life changing decision. And if you're interested in podcasting, just do it. Just do it. Honestly, turn on your camera, get a microphone, and just speak. Tell your story. That is what makes you you. Your uniqueness doesn't come from, it may come from the quirkiness in your personality, but I'm finding truly that it comes from your story. And your story is everything for somebody else. You don't know who you're impacting by just saying, this is my truth. This is my day to day. You can vlog if you want, you can do whatever, but be okay with being uncomfortable and be okay with being vulnerable. Because that's all it is. You can't get in front of a camera and just fake and be, I can't. I know other people who can, but I can't. I have tried, and every time I'm like, you know what? I can't even talk about that. Let's talk about this instead. And I'll be like, hold on, that's not the podcast episode, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I have gone live on Instagram and I've been like, oh, I just had a whole revelation on Instagram. Yikes! I don't know if I should have did that, but the amount of love that has come from that, where it's like your self-awareness is crazy. Wow, I can't believe you experienced the same thing. It helps you find who you are, and it also helps people understand they're not alone in this world either.
Right.
So do it. Don't be
Just
afraid.
do it. Do it. Do it afraid. Do it anyway.
Yes.
But
Oh, that reminded me of something. So on my wall, this entire year, I've had a mantra: do it scared, face it scared. I have been so scared to do any of the things that I have been doing this year. I'm gonna be honest. You wouldn't think it, but I have been. What happened was, at the beginning of this year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put out an album. Don't know, don't know how this is gonna go, but this has been one of my ultimate goals since I was a kid, right? Since I was talking Tina, I have always wanted to be on stage doing music, doing poetry, whatever, right? Finally took that shot. Finally took that shot and put out an album. It's called Lyrical Release. You can find it anywhere.
okay.
And it is an introspective look at my healing journey through poetry. And when I did that, it literally kept showing up. It was like God kept saying, do it scared, face it scared. I was like, what the heck does that mean? What do you mean? Got confirmation from the producer. Oh, you just need to get in the booth. Face it scared. I said, huh? Say that again.
Yeah.
You did
Yeah.
not just say that. He said, face it scared. I said, stop saying that because that's on my wall. What are you doing? What is happening? But it showed me that if I hadn't have faced it scared, if I hadn't have faced any of this scared, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that fear, don't allow it to hold you back. Allow yourself to overcome that fear and you'll find the beauty on the other side. I promise you. The rainbow's on the other side of that fear. It really is.
Right. I totally agree with you on that. I'm glad you shared that. And thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
of
as well.
course.
Because
Thank you for having me.
yeah, it's funny that you say that because from the moment I met you, I knew that you were special. From the moment that, and I'm never wrong about anything. I mean, anybody that's in my circle, or even that I've met, I tell people I had the gift that God gave me was identifying the things that people can't see in themselves,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I know when I meet someone that is pure, that is authentic, that is real, it's something about the spirit that speaks to me. And that's what happened when I met you. It's like you were just standing there and we just started having a
Yeah,
conversation.
we really
And then
did.
you lit up with the smile and I was like, oh my God, okay. So and then not only from that, it's like, okay, we start taking pictures, we start having conversation. And
Yeah,
then I met
yeah.
somebody and I say, oh, I know somebody that needs this. So I connect you to that person. And that's what podcasting has done for us, right?
Yes.
It has allowed us to the proximity of one another. It's going to allow other doors to open up for your business. I know podcasting for me has opened up a lot of doors for my business, and I have
Yes.
met amazing people such as yourself, right? And so I want to just pour into you one more second
Okay.
because I do know that God has something so much more for you and you have no idea.
I know.
And I know because you keep saying, I'm so afraid to do the thing. And you want to be, you want people to get uncomfortable, but sometimes you're going to have to get uncomfortable
Oh yeah,
yourself, right?
I do.
But not only that, I
Mhm.
want you to understand if there's a goal that you set out for yourself, no matter what the circumstances, make sure you just say yes to yourself. And when you say yes to yourself, God is going to say yes to everything else. Because when you show up for yourself, He shows up for you, right?
Yes.
So I want to thank you for saying yes to my podcast. You
Yes.
have been amazing here on the Sly Ed Experience. Where can my guests or where the listeners find you if they want to tap into your podcast?
You can find me at underscore officially Queen J on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. It is at Let's Get Uncomfortable Pod. Um, you can find me there. Um, I want to say one thing. I want to leave the listeners with one thing. I want you to understand that it takes time to get to this point. You mentioned that, you mentioned that I keep saying that I'm afraid or that I'm scared, that I have been scared. I am now understanding in real time that even though I'm scared, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. It doesn't mean that God hasn't called me to something higher, right?
Right.
And that's the same thing for you guys, for the listeners. Just because you feel a certain reservation about yourself does not mean that other people don't see the beauty in you that you're not seeing in yourself. As you mentioned, I just wanted to say
Yes.
that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course, of
Good.
course.
So I'll put your information in the show notes.
Yes.
And once again, thank you for saying yes. This has been another great episode of the Slight Ed Experience podcast, where successors lead you through education and determination. I am your girl, your host,
Mm.
Latasha, and I am out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And then we can edit.
Yay!